Well, good morning again. Here we are again. Got some really good feedback with the videos. I know that you guys, I know that having hope and knowing that things will get better is a really key component of healing. So it's funny when I walked in this morning, before I walked into the mall, I'm at a mall walking, there was a duck that was walking across the parking lot and then into the street. And I thought about that duck, and it was funny because there was a guy that stopped for the duck, and I kind of looked at the guy like, what's the duck doing here, because this is a big parking lot. I mean, huge. It's a huge mall. And so he kind of smiled at me and laughed, not the duck, the guy. Okay. So it just made me think, this duck's walking around totally out of its environment. But it made me think like, okay, why is this duck over here? There must be something holding this duck in this asphalt parking lot. Like there must be food somewhere, right? That's what I'm thinking. Well, there's a movie theater that's connected to the mall. And so my guess is that since I'm by the movie theater, not exactly in it, but by it, but the duck must get some crumbs and popcorn that, people, that maybe the movie staff puts out at night when they clean up the theaters. Lots of wasted popcorn. And it's probably where the duck gets its food, is what I'm assuming. Now, what made me think about this is that just about, not even a mile from here, there's a lake. And it's a pretty big lake, not like a really, really big lake, but like a lake that, has a marina, has two marinas on it. And I used to go out on that lake a lot. And I would see ducks there all the time. Now that's a natural environment for a duck. It's a healthy environment where the duck can, I don't know what ducks eat, like, duck food, whatever ducks eat. I know that they're more natural, not on asphalt, but in a water environment where there's lots of food, lots of duck food. I'm not a big duck guy. I don't know all the things. So I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, this duck here, what's walking on the asphalt, is thinking either, I was thinking maybe the duck was hatched here, maybe nearby, but somehow the duck got into this asphalt environment. And I don't know, maybe the duck flies home at night, but for the example, for the analogy, just work with me here. Just pretend the duck comes back here or lives here and thinks this is its only environment, is this big asphalt parking lot with yellow lines, and periodically gets some crumbs, right? Waits outside the theater door for some popcorn. And that really hit home with me because that's kind of what happens with some, people that are in abusive relationships. I'm speaking more about narcissistic abusive relationships with, emotional trauma, emotional and psychological trauma. So what I wanted to emphasize today was that you don't have to be that duck. And that duck just doesn't know that there's a lake less than a mile away that it can fly to, that it can be in a great environment, it can be in a healthy environment, it can be nourished properly. Instead of waiting outside the theater door, the back door, I'm talking about the back door, they wouldn't allow the duck to walk in the theater through the front door, but so the duck's even got to kind of go around to the back door by the dumpster. The duck's sitting there by the dumpster waiting for crumbs. And a lot of you don't see you're kind of like that duck. I know I was. You're kind of like hoping that you're just waiting because you've been conditioned that next to that green dumpster, when that door opens about 5 feet from that green dumpster, that's your only source of nourishment. That's your only source of emotional well-being, because somehow you've been tricked. Not somehow, you have been tricked into believing that the person that you were with has the authority over you. to do that. And that person has taken the reins to convince you that they are the authority over you. And they do it not because they're bad or they've got malice. They do it because that's all they know. That's all they know. So, okay, so I set that analogy. Now you're feeling kind of, oh, well. Okay, so the good news is you've come to this group or a support group, so you're getting a knowledge base now to know that there's a lake over there, a big lake. The question is, how do you get to that lake? You know, there's a lot of fear, right? Well, what if I get halfway to the lake and then I get lost and then I try to go back to the theater and I don't know where it is, or I go back to the theater and they're not putting the food out anymore because I'm not there anymore, right? As the little duck, you're thinking that's the only place where I can get nourished is the theater. I've heard about the lake. I've heard about going over there, but the theater is the only place. So, okay, so what you want to do is learn more about. How's it going? So what you want to do is learn more about that lake and how that lake works, and how the theater door is actually a trap for the rest of your life. I mean, a trap that it's a trick trap. Oh, and what I mean by that is that theater door. You know, in our case, the theater door is opening and saying, "I'm the only source of food. You have to stay with me. You're nothing without me. This food's going to go away if you don't." You know, so you kind of get the drift, right? So, again, we're focusing on the lake now. I will tell you that when you're new into these groups, a narcissist support group like this one is going to be different than any support group you've probably been in, because all your life, if you're like me, all your life you've been told to put yourself second. Not exactly told that, but that's implied. Your parents raised you. Listen to your father. Listen to your mother. You have to do things and be a good person. Be a good, honest person. So chances are, for a lot of you, this is the first time that it's okay to call out that person, that narcissistic person, and talk about what a piece of shit they are, and how bad they are, and how awful they treated you. And what it feels like is that you're being selfish and that you're being mean. And that's not the type of person you are, right? You're not selfish or mean. But part of you is conflicted because you kind of know that you're not being treated right, but you don't want to be a mean person and push them away. You want to comply with them because you're a compliant person. You're a person that's always been nice and gosh, the fear is, well, if I push this person away, they're going to get mad and they're going to be upset with me, and I can't have anybody upset with me. And that's the people-pleasing mentality that a lot of us get trapped in. But there's a way out. I promise there's a way out. So it's just, I'm trying to describe it to you guys as best I can, because a lot of you have it. I mean, probably most of you have it. And it's okay. I'm telling you, it's okay to be angry at that person. That's a normal human process. It's okay to be angry at them and just call them out for what they are. Not to their face, but I mean, just be angry enough so that you leave, so that you get the heck away from them, so that you go no contact. But what happens is we get angry, and then we do something, we tell them off. Not a good idea, but I mean, if you have, it is what it is. But you tell them off, and then you're drawn back into them 2 months or 2 weeks later or 2 days later when they apologize and get all nice. What that is, when they apologize and then you get back, that's a cycle. That's that's like a victim cycle. And the way a victim cycle with them works is they play victim to get, well, first of all, let me step back. The narcissists are all about power and control. The psychopath, narcissist, problematic person, they're all about power and control. So they're all about power and control. So when they play victim, what they're really doing is so you got the circle. You got the circle, right? So on top is power. When they're on top of the circle, they're powerful. So what happens is they will play victim. They will go down to the bottom of the circle. And again, this is a cycle. They'll go down to the bottom, play victim in order to get back on top. So have you ever had that where they're begging you like, oh, please, I apologize. I didn't mean to do that. I promise I'll change. And then you accept them back into your life. And the more toxic the situation is, the faster they'll regress, or they'll go back to the power and control model. They'll go back to the top of the circle. Oh, you're shaking your head. Yep. That's a problem. That's problematic, and it's not you, okay? So, points to be taken from what I'm talking about. There's things that you're not seeing because you've been conditioned not to see them. Trust me, trust the books that you read, trust the books I've read, that there's more to your situation than you can see. There's more good things to your situation if you want to put a label on it. There's more things that you just haven't seen yet, because that person is dominating your thoughts. That person is controlling you because they're good at it, because that's all they know. That's their one trick pony, is power and control. And part of what underlies power and control is fear. They figure out your fears, your vulnerabilities, and then they target them to their advantage. For an example, just to give you an example, this isn't an actual one, but this will kind of bring home the point. Say you were teased when you were a kid about your toes. Okay, just say you were teased about your toes. And so, you went to a summer camp one time, and, some boys teased you about their toes. There's nothing wrong with your toes. I mean, maybe your toes they're unique. Maybe the second toe's longer than the first toe or whatever. It's just something, but it's not really noticeable. But what happened was, back at summer camp when you were third grade, let's say, some boys wanted to get your attention because they liked you, but boys and girls tease each other at that age, and they have cooties. So maybe you said something to a boy like, hey, my one toe's longer than the other one. And he went, wow, you're a freak. And you're like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. And then the boys started spreading rumors. Toe girl, blah, blah, blah. Go here. So you kind of get the picture, right? Well, what happens is when you get involved with a relationship with a narcissist, they'll go through a series of tests. They'll listen to you. They're really good listeners at first because they want to know all about you. And eventually you're going to tell them about the toe thing, and then they're going to store it in memory. You're going to tell them, oh, I was teased once. Oh, it really hurt, Ooh, that's fuel for them. So they're going to take that information, and when they go to the next phase, when they go to the devaluation phase, or to maintain the power of the relationship where you're here and they're there, you guys do know that's how a relationship is with a narcissist. You're here and they're there. Don't ever confuse it. It's if they blah 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 blah, if they tell you, oh, we're equals, don't believe that. So getting back to my story. So the narcissist knows that that's a vulnerability of yours. So, and again, this is just to highlight an example. So they're going to say to you, if they're not getting their way on something, or say you're feeling really good about your looks, you just got a new haircut, and the narcissist thinks you're The thing is, the narcissist, when they feel threatened when you feel good, because they're not getting the energy, so they got to bring you down to their level, or they got to make sure that you're more unhappy than they are. So what a narcissist will do, you get a haircut, you're like looking good, you feeling good about yourself, then you come home or go out with this person, and then you say, yeah, I got a lot of compliments today, and they're like, oh yeah, then you want to talk about your toes? You see what they did? Bam, they went right for your vulnerabilities. They went right for something that you're ashamed of, even though there's nothing wrong with your toes. There's no fact in it. Most people would never be able to see it unless it was pointed out or something. I mean, it's just, we all have flaws, right? That's another thing. Okay, so you got my point on that. So the narcissist is going to find any vulnerabilities they can. You cry when animals are rescued, were hit by cars or something, or anything. Carrots make you frightened. Oh, they're gonna bust out a carrot every once in a while. I mean, it's not like what we think is that fear of carrots, that thing about our toes. We think that that's reality because it's something from childhood or something we've been conditioned to maybe later in life. But for us, that's our reality, and the narcissist knows that. The narcissist doesn't live in reality. The narcissist knows that those are your vulnerabilities, so they're going to attack those. They're going to use those. They have a database. Are you like me and you remember all the good times you had with somebody, and the negative ones kind of fall by the wayside? You don't really think about them too much because you're kind of a generally positive person. Not so with them. They remember the times you screwed up, the times you didn't do something right, the times you came home late, the times they remember all these times, and then they apply them out of context so that you feel like you're just a screw-up person. For an example, have you ever been late for something? Yeah. Has the narcissist ever been late for something? Yes. Do you remember all the times the narcissist was late? Probably not, because that's not how you are. You're not focused on that. Does the narcissist seem to recall all the times that you were late? Yes, and they apply them out of context. And what I'm saying is, healthy people move on. Healthy people talk about something and then move on. The past is the past. That time you were late, forgive and forget, everything's there, but they don't forget. They don't even forgive, okay? Because it's how they work. It's how they work. It's their defense mechanism. It's their survival instincts. They have to know crap about you in order to be able to bust it out later so that they have power over you. Okay? You guys getting that? So, oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. This example. So, okay. So, yeah, even I have like mind alterations here. So, but it's about power and control. So they're going to remember all those things, and then, oh my gosh, where I was going with this? I'm sorry, guys. I just get so excited about this and I get sidetracked. But anyways, power and control. Your reality is not you. You think it is, but it's not, because you've been conditioned to think that. Best thing you can do is go no contact, realize there's a lake out there you haven't even seen yet. Or maybe you've seen it and you thought, well, I'm not good enough to go fly in the lake. What I'm telling you is, there's no limits. There's no restrictions to get into the lake. You just have to go there. But there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear. So the narcissist uses the fear to get power and control over you. That's just what they do. You don't want to be around people like that. Not everybody's like that. Most people aren't like that, thank God. When you're around normal, healthy people and you have healthy relationships, you can get through stuff. So what I was talking about was the past. They bring up the past. They have a database of all the things you did in the past. So they take it out of context. And what I mean by that, and this is really important, what I mean by that is, we're normal people, forgive and forget. If I'm late for something, or I said something bad, this is a better example. So if I said something bad to my spouse, and this kind of happened. So if I said something bad to my spouse, like I was mad or angry at her, and I called her a bad name, she's called me bad names too, but I don't really remember those. I don't bust those out in an argument. So she's going to remember that 10 years later and go, for something completely unrelated, if she's not getting her way, if the narcissist isn't getting their way, then she's going to bust out that thing and say, well, you called me that, so, 10 years, she's not going to say 10 years ago. She's going to make it sound like it was yesterday. Well, you called me a da-da before. I'll say, what? What does that have to do with it? Well, I'm telling you, you're just a vicious, angry person because you call me names. That happened 10 years ago. Different situation, different scenario. Healthy people make mistakes. Healthy people move on. But the narcissist remembers like an elephant. I'm glad I remembered that too. But back there, I forgot it. Very important, the context. Take everything out of context. You know who also takes things out of context? People that are mentally not quite on their game. And narcissists will make you think that they're the smartest, the most well-liked, the sharpest people around. But it's delusional. They don't admit any mistakes. So they're totally living in la la land. They really are. But they convince everybody around them. They've had years of practice at this, that they're this great person. And especially the people that are closest to them, until we begin to find the cracks. And then we begin to pull away. And then they got to lure us back in, telling us how great they are, either be sweet to us or be mean to us. By that time, usually after 6 months, they know all our hot buttons. They know all our weaknesses. They know what motivates us. That's what they do. They're good at it. That's what they do. So I hope that gives you some insight today that you want to get to the lake, right? Remember the duck? You want to get to the lake. And the first step you can take is obviously going no contact. If you have children, go Gray Rock, read a book called Divorce Poison, learn how that works. Read Psychopath Free. It's okay to blame. It's okay to post in this group that, your story about how your narc did this or that. Yeah, you're going to sound like a complainer for a while, but you've got some justified anger inside of you. You've been violated. You've been treated like crap. So get it out. Get it out. Eventually, you will, if you follow a good path, if you follow a healthy path, if you stay active in support groups, if you do something for yourself every day, whether positive affirmations, prayer, meditation. If you go on a healthy path, you'll get to a point, and a lot of you can't even see this right now, can't even fathom it. I couldn't 2 years ago. You'll see that you really have so much power, so much going for you. I know, everyone's putting the positive stuff up. Doesn't apply to me, right? Doesn't apply to me. Doesn't apply to me. It does apply to you. You just don't see it yet. Just trust me on that. You've got so much more power than you realize. You've got so much more. Yeah, I mean, if you and I walked around the mall together, you're here right next to me, and I kept saying to you, "Are you walking all right? Is something wrong with your leg?" And you said, "No, my leg's fine." 10 feet later, I go, you seem to be kind of walking a little bit. Did you ever go to chiropractic school and they teach you about how you pronate or how your inside walks or whatever? Look, I'm just totally making stuff up, right? But I'm telling you this. I guarantee you, if we walk around the mall a couple times together, and I keep going on and changing the subject, and just keep talking about, we talk, hey, it's going to be a good day today. Yeah, I saw a duck in the parking lot. Yeah. Hey, what kind of shoes are those? Oh yeah, well, those shoes, I don't think those shoes can help, with when with people that have issues with walking. You're like, what? What do you mean issues with walking? Well, just being able to keep your gait steady. And I guarantee you, if we kept walking around there, you'd think there's something wrong with the way you walk. Right? That's how narcissists work. That's how they roll. And you don't have to roll with them. If you're walking with me in the mall, you could say, well, I appreciate your feedback, but I don't think I'm aware of anything. But I'd like to change the subject. I'd like to talk more about the duck in the parking lot. And I'd say, okay, now if I'm a narcissist, I'm going to agree, oh yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, that duck, boy, that duck. You see how that duck walk, kind of funny, you know? I mean, that's just what they do. They just do that. So don't know what else to tell you on that. All right, well, so if you see a duck walking across the parking lot, you know what the duck's favorite food is, right? Quackers. Quackers, get it? Quackers. Okay. That's an old joke from my kids' preschool days. All right, guys. Love you guys. Toodaloos. Have a good one out there.